Canada is making a significant shift in foreign policy, with the Prime Minister revealing plans to formally recognize a Palestinian state during the upcoming UN General Assembly. The announcement has sparked strong reactions at home and abroad, drawing responses from Canadians and global leaders alike. International relations expert Aurel Braun joins us now to discuss this further. Thank you for being here, Aurel.
Thank you.
So, how do you interpret Canada's move? Is this a principled stand or a strategic effort to pressure Israel over Gaza?
The Prime Minister portrays this as something that is meant to help the peace process, that is going to help the people in Gaza and the West Bank. And this may be his intention, but the results might be very, very different, unfortunately, because it is sadly unlikely to benefit the Palestinian people or the Israelis. This is a very complex situation that is not easily amenable to some political slogan or to some easy solution. And when the Prime Minister states that he is going to recognize a Palestinian state in September, predicated, and he emphasized this is predicated on a commitment from the Palestinian Authority to free elections, to a demilitarized state, and so on, that, in a sense, makes this quest not only questionable, but it also raises certain red flags as to the sincerity of the effort, because these are not real conditions. This is just a promissory note that he uses as something that would justify this early kind of recognition, which doesn't really fulfill the criteria of the Montevideo Convention on the recognition of states, the four major criteria, and it's doubtful that any of them are met. And ultimately, we have to ask, is this going to save lives? Is this going to make the situation better? Is this going to move towards a settlement? Who are the people or the organizations that appear to benefit most? And at the moment, more than likely, Hamas is the one that is applauding the loudest. They are likely to become more unwilling to reach kind of settlement, to demilitarize, to vacate the governorship, if you may call that, of Gaza. Let us not forget that Hamas has been designated as a terrorist organization by almost every major democratic state, and they have all declared that whatever the settlement is, Gaza cannot have a role. Well, this may well strengthen Hamas.
Okay, so you don't believe this would benefit the Palestinian people in any way?
The intention perhaps maybe to benefit the Palestinian people, but if Hamas is more unwilling to release the hostages, to reach a ceasefire agreement, and this is the indication, then it's hard to see how this will benefit the people who are suffering both in Gaza and in Israel. And this is why, if you look at, let's see what the British are saying, their proposal to recognize gives Israel certain incentives to do more in the delivery of food aid, in the delivery of fuel, in reaching a settlement, because then they say, well, then we would not go to something that is a premature recognition. There's no such conditionality in real terms in the case of Canada. And so the Palestinian Authority, which is led by Mahmoud Abbas, has been so utterly corrupt, has made so many promissory, given so many promissory notes, none of which have been delivered on, that this is something that can be questioned even by those who are the most avid supporters of a two-state solution, those who may wish to see a Palestinian state, because it doesn't seem to move the needle in the right direction. Anything that really strengthens Hamas, that rewards terrorism, cannot be viewed as something that is helpful to the Palestinian people who have long suffered under Hamas, or to Israel, which had been subjected to the worst kind of possible massacre and atrocities on October 7, 2023.
So the Prime Minister did attach conditions to this recognition, specifically that Hamas has no future role in a Palestinian government. So are you saying this is an unrealistic expectation?
Well, let me turn this discussion around, if I may. Canada, let's see, recognizes a Palestinian state in September of this year. The elections are supposed to take place in 2026. Demilitarization, the exclusion of Hamas are all to take place in the future as a promise, not as an ironclad commitment, and not really as a condition prior to recognition. What happens if these commitments are not met by the Palestinian Authority? Would the Prime Minister of Canada be prepared to say, well, if these are not met in 2026, we in Canada will unrecognize a Palestinian state? Is that on the table? Has the Prime Minister been asked that question?
Okay, interesting. Well, Washington and Tel Aviv have both slammed this decision. Could it strain Canada's relationships with key allies?
It may be straining relations certainly with the United States. Germany, which is the biggest economy, most important power in Europe, is not moving ahead. We are trying to build strong relations with Europe. Italy hasn't moved so far. So it may indeed not only strain relations with these allies, but also if this recognition is going to go ahead in September, and then we see what sadly is likely to happen, that the Palestinian Authority will not deliver on it, what will happen to Canada's credibility?
Okay, and is there merit to the argument voiced by Netanyahu and Trump that this move amounts to rewarding Hamas?
The problem is that you don't need to go to what Mr. Trump, who is bombastic and who is difficult to deal with, or with Mr. Netanyahu, who may be heading a government that is not to our liking. This is something that, in many ways, justifies good logic and good policy. It represents a very fundamental shift in Canadian policy, which was that there would be no recognition until there is a negotiated settlement between Israel and the Palestinian people. So to have that kind of dramatic shift, one needs to be very, very careful that the desired results will come about. And given the lineup of the Palestinian Authority, given the fact that Hamas is loudly welcoming these moves to recognition while they are holding and starving hostages, and they don't seem to be negotiating in good faith, it is hard to see how this is moving in the right direction. So we don't need to go to leaders who may not be well liked to question whether this is a wise move, and most importantly, to ask who ultimately benefits from this.
Okay, Aurel, as always, we appreciate your time. That's Aurel Braun, international relations expert.